Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the guest lecture series on SDGs. Today, 14 September 2021. I'm Desi from ITS Global Engagement, and I will be your master of ceremony this afternoon. Thank you very much for joining our guest lecture series on SDGs today. Before we start our agenda, let me inform you of the some rules for the event. First, please adjust your name or ID screen using format institution_name. Second, during the lecture, please turn on mute mode and only turn on the audio when the moderator begins. I'm Desi from ITS Global Engagement, and I will be your attendance at bit.ly/attendance_GLS SDGs. Our committee also sent the attendance link in the Zoom chat room. For participants who wish to get an e-certificate and stamp, please fill the attendance 15 minutes after the session starts. Fourth, participants who wish to ask questions during the question and answer session, please send your questions to intip.in/Q&A SDGs. The link for questions listed in the chat room as well, or you may ask directly by clicking the raise hand features. Today's GLS SDGs will present a topic entitled Physical Activities, its Effect to Mental States, that will be delivered by Professor Porfiria Purlan from University of Immaculate Conception. Other than that, we also have a topic entitled MyRehabMaker, creating an inclusive ecosystem in disability management, that will be delivered by Dr. Nataria Muhammad Hashim from Institute Technology Mara, Malaysia. This lecture will be moderated by Dr. Ni Gusti Maderai. Before we start our agenda, allow me to deliver our schedule as follows. First, introduction to moderator and speakers. Second, lecture session. Third, Q&A session. Fourth, certificate awarding, and then fifth, closing. Now, before we proceed to the next agenda, let me introduce our moderator. So, Dr. Ni Gusti Maderai earned his master's degree in professional psychology at Erlangga University. She currently is a lecturer at Department of Business Management and Social Humanity at ITS. She also an expert staff of psychology at Personal Development and Care ITS. Other than that, she has experience as associate psychologist at Unit Pelayanan Psikologi University Erlangga. Good afternoon, Dr. Ni Gusti Maderai. Halo, Ibu.
Hello, hi.
Okay, hello. Thank you for being here, Ibu. Nice to see you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Now, without further ado, let's proceed to the main agenda to Dr. Ni Gusti Maderai. The time is yours.
Okay, check. Okay, good afternoon, dear all participants. Thank you for MC, Miss Desi, to having me as moderator today. It's the honor for me being moderator in this guest lecture series on SDGs today. And good afternoon to special speakers, Honorable Professor Porfiria Purlan and Professor Natiara Muhammad Hasim. My name is Gusti Maderai, and as moderator today, and I will moderating in this guest lectures on SDGs. Okay, before the session, let me know about our honorable speaker, and let me introduce our speaker today. First speaker is Professor Porfiria Purlan about education background. Yeah, she's graduated from Master Art in Physical Education in University of Mindanao in 2004, and for the doctoral philosophy education leadership in University of Immaculate Conception in 2011, and the Master of Art in Guidance Counseling, University of Immaculate Conception, in ongoing yet until now. Okay, for she has work experience, research capability building coordinator, University of Immaculate Conception in 2000 until now, and education manager, program dean, University of the Immaculate Conception in 2012 till 2016. And also about professional affiliation, President MUT Army Reservist training in 2021. President Associate of Territory Physical Education Region XL. President Faculty Club Higher Education University of the Immaculate Conception. And today, Professor Porfiria will the presentation about sensory perception. And for the second speaker, we have Professor Natiara Muhammad Hasim. And for education background, yeah, she finished her medical doctor degree in Moscow Medical Academy in 2008, and for Master Rehabilitation Medicine, University of Malaya in 2018. And her work experience, rehabilitation physician and junior lecturer at Department of Rehabilitation Medicine, University Technology Mara at 2019 to now, and counseling special in rehabilitation medicine, Department of Rehabilitation Medicine, Hospital Sungai Buloh in 2018. As trainee lecturer at Department of Rehabilitation Medicine, University Technology Mara in 2012 till 2014. And also about professional membership, Movement Disorder Society from 2012 till now, and then National Specialty Registry till now, and Malaysian Association of Rehabilitation Physicians start from 2018 till now, and Malaysian Medical Academy start 2017 till now. Yeah, dear all participants, for the next, we have first lecture from Professor Porfiria Pralan, and you have 40 minutes for the first session, Professor. And next, the second lecture will continue after the first session, and we go to next question and answer. We will start at 5 p.m. Yeah. Okay. So we can go to the next first lecture from Professor Porfiria Pralan, and the title is Sensory Processing Activity is Effect on Mental State Regulation. Professor Porfiria, the time's yours.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Am I audible? Can you give me a thumbs up if you can hear me loud and clear?
Quite clear, Prof.
All right, thank you so much.
Clear, Professor.
Yeah. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Praise be Jesus and Mary. I am Porfiria S. Poralan from the University of the Immaculate Conception, Davao City, Philippines. I would like to thank ITS for coming up with this program, and I am so inspired by this program since this is actually a program that enables us, giving us the opportunity to share what we know in our little field in the physical education, an avenue for us to also share what we can contribute to the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. So thank you so much for coming up with this activity. Let me share my screen so that I can start sharing with you what I am very passionate about these times. By the way, the title of my lecture is about physical activities, its effect on mental state, as this is still related to sensory processing activities, since physical activities are all still product of sensory processing. So I am a physical education teacher, and my 20 years of experience has inspired me to dig deeper of what else can my profession or can my field help, especially as regards to the mental state of our young people. Because as a professor, we're handling young people, so we take care of them because they are our future. So I purposely have the question, how are we going to guard their mental? How are we going to help them guard their mental wellness? Because they are all well. We are assuming that all of our young people now are mentally well, and we are supposed to guard us as professors. It is our concern to guard it, because they are the future of our generation. My acknowledgement also to my colleagues in the university. They have been very supportive of me. They have been giving me spoken and unspoken encouragement for me to share the confidence that I have to this wonderful audience. I have 99, 91, 93 audience here. Good afternoon to all of you. Okay, so let me start with sharing you facts of the world, facts about mental health. There are just 3 among the 10 facts I gave you shared by World Health Organization, and this pertains to mental health. The first one is that 20% of our children and adolescents have mental conditions. This is 1 out of 5. Okay, can you imagine that? 1 out of 5 of the world's young people has mental issues. And this often starts in early stages. And half of them began their health issues before the age of 14. As you see, this is the time where adolescents are facing pressures and transitions of the coming age. And some of them goes on undetected. Now, young people living in areas affected by conflict, disaster, disease are especially vulnerable to mental illness. Now, well, as we know, the pandemic actually has escalated this issue. Another one is that there are 300 million people affected or living with depression, and it has increased to over 18%. Okay, and it also, depression is the leading cause of suicide, which claims 800,000 lives every year, and this is 40 people in every second. So this is quite alarming. Another one is that mental health crisis that doesn't just have medical and social repercussions. It also has serious financial costs. The global economy loses 16 trillion each year due to depression and anxiety. And it's estimated that mental health conditions could cost the economy as much as 16 trillion between 2011 and 2030. The source of this is the World Health Organization. Another one, this was just published in May 2020, which says mental health is the next pandemic. Okay, so this concerns me a lot. This gives me drive to dig in and be concerned about these issues. As a teacher, This is how I think I can contribute to guard the mental health of our students, of our young people. Before I proceed, let me show you this one. I would like to show this toolbox as a metaphor. In this lecture, I don't intend to give all the tools you can use, but I want to equip you yourself with ready-made, ready-to-use, actionable items that you can do to guard your mental wellness. I also would like to challenge you to improve your knowledge about mental health, thereby helping yourself, your family, your respective community, and of course, the whole world. As a movement educator, I have been very fascinated by how movements affect our mental state. My professional growth direct me to understand strong connection between body movements and mental health. As such, when we teach movements, our knowledge of the basic anatomy will help us design movement activities and that are geared towards the well-being of our students. It's always the well-being of our students that we are concerned about as we teach the subject physical education, aside of course from teaching sports skills and fitness. But before we dig in, let me just define some terms first. I would like to borrow the definition of the World Health Organization about physical activity. The physical activity is any body movement produced by skeletal muscles that require energy expenditure, including activities undertaken while working, playing, carrying out household chores, traveling, and engaging into recreational pursuits. As linked to exercise is just a subcategory of physical activity. Hence, all exercise are physical activity. It's just that we just have this term as we just differentiate this one as movement that are structured, repetitive, and aims to improve or maintain one's component of physical fitness. Before, we exercise because we want to lose weight or gain weight. Okay, or improve our skills. Okay, we exercise because we want to lose weight and we want to gain weight. This time, there's another one that we are interested in too. It's about our mental wellness. Not just physical wellness, we include now physical wellness. So I am just going to use the term physical activities, hence that's why it's stated in the title, because I want to be inclusive. I want to include everything that you do so long as it's voluntary. Okay, everything that you do, voluntary movement, that will always have an effect on your mental state. Another term is the mental state. I would like to borrow the definition of Osterwick 2012 that our mental state is typically our emotions. Okay, our fear, disgust, love, surprise, our cognitions, the way we retrieve our memory, planning our future, imagining perhaps, or concentrating our task, and of course, perception, how we perceive a face, how we perceive gesture, color, sound, or even movement of our body, and so on. So that's our mental state. Now, our perceptions and emotions and cognitions are product of our brain. Okay, it sends information, gets our body senses perceive, sense information from all the parts of our body, and have the brain integrates everything. Our basic education taught us that we only have 5 senses, but actually we have 7, and all these are our 7 senses. Added to the 5 is our vestibular sense, which is our balance, balance movement and balance sense, and our proprioceptive senses, which is our body awareness senses. Now, all these senses, okay, are sending information through the nerve cell to our brain. Okay, now our brain is reading everything, all the things that we hear, that we taste, your movement, your understanding of your body, awareness, your body, all these are sensed by the nerve cell and sent to your brain for interpretation, integration, and perhaps evaluation of what actions to take. So now let me just show you a typical part of a nerve cell. Now usually, so there is a neuron, and then the action actually, the length of this action varies depending on its place. There is actually a neuron that extends from the brain until your toes. Now, that's how long it can be. Now, in each neuron, there is a presynaptic area or a gap between an action and a dendrite. This is what we call synapse. Okay, this is a small gap between neurons where nerve impulses are relayed by neurotransmitters from the action to the prenuptic neuron to the dendrites of postsynaptic receiving neuron. Here. Okay, suppose this is an action and this is a dendrite. The synapse here, okay, the synapse here is where the impulses are relayed. Okay. Now there are billions of neurotransmitter molecules work constantly to keep our brains functioning, millions of it in our brain, managing everything from breathing to heartbeat to our learning, concentration levels. They can also affect a variety of psychological functions such as fear, our mood, pleasure, and joy. Remember our mental state? Okay. Yes. So there are billions of neurotransmitters in the brain. Now, Dr. John Rete, MD, has a very interesting findings of the neurotransmitters, specifically the norepinephrine, the serotonin, and the dopamine. He said that deficit of these neurotransmitters actually causes depression. Okay, so that's very interesting. Deficit of these neurotransmitters causes depression. The primary role of these neurotransmitters is to adjust the flow of information, thus fine-tuning the overall reactions or chemical reactions of the brain. Okay, the serotonin here is often called as the policeman in the brain because it helps the brain under control. It influences our mood, impulsivity, anger, and aggressiveness. The norepinephrine here implies signals that influence attention, motivation, and arousal. And the dopamine here, which is thought to be as learning, reward, attention, and movement neurotransmitter, takes on sometimes a contradictory role in different parts of the brain. Now, Dr. Rete says that exercise balances these neurotransmitters. He further states that the first line of treatment of depression should be exercise. Okay, exercise. So as a movement educator, I was fascinated by the thought of that. Yeah, exercise. So it's my concern as a movement educator, I have to promote exercise with my students and somehow explain to them this concept, what happens to the brain when you exercise. As what Dr. Rete said, it balances your neurotransmitters, thus regulating your emotions. Shown in this diagram are known causes of depression. Certainly, I cannot cover this, and this. I would only focus on this. The imbalances of this, serotonin, norepinephrine, dopamine, and the BDNF, okay, that's what I can only share with you this afternoon because that's where my interest has landed on when I was reading Dr. Rete's book. Now let me talk about BDNF. We already have talk about serotonin, norepinephrine, and the dopamine. As I said, these neurotransmitters are regulators. Okay, they balances the brain. Okay, the chemical reactions on the brain. Now, what's the BDNF? The BDNF, the brain-derived neurotrophic factor, is a reserve. Is the BDNF gathers here as a reserve pool. Okay, this is where they stayed, and when blood flows to your brain, it will cause this BDNF to unleash, hence helping the nerve cell talk to each other. Okay, the BDNF now helps the nerve cell to talk to each other and promote changes in connections our brains can make, keeping us alert and our memory sharp. So who wants to have a sharp memory? I think all of us wants to have sharp memories, because when we remember easily, we can decide better, we can take actions better because we remember information better. So that's what the BDNF is doing. Now, when we partake in exercise, especially endurance exercise, a protein called FNDC5, or the fibronectin type 3 containing 5, is released to your bloodstream. Okay. Now, when your muscles are contracting and relaxing, this protein-like will be produced. And then when this will be produced, traveling to your blood vessel, okay, it will increase your BDNF 200 to 300% just by exercising. What specific type of exercise? Those endurance exercises, those exercises that elevates your heart rate up to moderate, or up to 80 to 90% of maximum heart rate. The exercise that brings you to catch up your breath when you do the movement. So that's the most beneficial exercise. Like running, swimming, cycling, fast-paced yoga, or sports. If it gets your heart going, then BDNF level starts to increase. Okay, so all these things are just from exercise alone. Okay, because that's the field that I am very interested into. Now, as I told you earlier, I will be sharing you ready-to-use free items that you can use every time in preserving our mental state. These are free. Exercise is free. You don't have to buy anything. Just walk or run. Those are actually some endurance exercises that you can engage into to increase, to balance the neurochemicals in your brain, and to increase the BDNF, which is very helpful in allowing and helping the nerve neurons to communicate. Now, our brain this time, there's actually one article that I've read. Our world
It's
today,
5 o'clock.
Our world today is actually damaging to our brain because we are overly stimulated. Okay? Our senses are overly stimulated. Okay? Hence, we need to quiet down sometimes. We need to manage. We need to know how to calm down our brain because of all these inputs from your senses. The music, texts, your Facebook, Instagram, social media are overly stimulating our brain. Now, our young people need to know how to calm their mind. Young as they are, they may not know how to do it. Okay? So that's our mission as teachers. Me as a physical education teacher, that's one of my mission. That I have to teach them how to calm their mind because they are overly stimulated. Okay, in the 21st century, our brain is busier than ever. We are assaulted with the facts, pseudo-facts, jibber-jabber, and rumors, all posing as information. Now, trying to figure out what we need to know and what we can ignore is exhausting. Our brain constantly wants to decide on something, and our brain is very lazy. It doesn't like to decide. Sometimes it goes blank, stare blank. Okay, so in today's time, we seemingly wear stress, even adults, no? Even adults. We seemingly wear stress as our badge. Everybody claims I'm stressed, I'm stressed, I'm stressed. And regardless of how intense the stress is, it is still stress, and stress, which if accumulated, becomes toxic in our body and mind. As an educator, this concerns me. As a physical education teacher, this concerns me a lot. As an individual, I can only do so much. As a physical education teacher, I can only do so much in my field, but this much is with passion, with love, that I can be able to help our young people to calm their minds. So what are the ways I've discovered? What are the ways I share to my students on how to calm their minds for them to regulate their mental state, to regulate their emotions? There are 5 that I've discovered, and it's all free. I told you earlier that it's all free of costs. Okay? You don't have to buy anything. First one is a panoramic view. Okay? Now, the panoramic view suggests that you spend time outdoors. Have you spent time outdoors? Panoramic view suggests that you hike, you walk, because when you walk, there is what we call optic flow. There's forward ambulation. Sorry for my handwriting. Forward ambulation. I'm just using my mouse. My digital pen will not work. Optic flow. And with this optic flow, it actually will relax your optic nerves. Okay? Optic nerves, which in turn relaxes or quiet down your amygdala. Okay? That's what I was, amygdala. Hence, reducing a calm state of mind. Okay, so go out there, look at least 300 meters away. No, after online class or after working, after reading, you can even go outside. Look at least 300 meters away from you. Do not focus on anything. Just allow to look ahead of forward, not 300 meters away, and that's actually is a panoramic view already. And you can walk. No, you can walk. You can cycle. You can run, just to promote the optic flow and the forward ambulation. That's the first one. Again, it is free. Walking is free. Okay. Although with our time today, some cities are still in lockdown and some are not. You have to observe proper protocol, or even in your own house. If you can just go around your house, that could actually also be helpful. Number 2, exhale, emphasize breathing. We have 2 types of breathing. We have inhale type, okay, where inhale is longer than exhale. We also have exhale, emphasize breathing. In inhale, emphasize breathing, when we inhale longer than exhaling, it actually is helping our body also to release cortisol, which would help us during emergencies, or during sometimes when you have when you are stressed and you want your body to cope up with it. The inhale, emphasize breathing can be done. Okay, but when we calm our mind, it is actually the exhale, emphasize breathing that will work. Okay, the exhale, emphasize when we exhale longer than breathing in. Okay, so suppose 4 counts inhale, you release it for 8 counts or longer. Andrew Huberman, actually, is my favorite neurobiologist, Andrew Huberman. He called this one as physical sigh. Okay, physical sigh. Okay, he said that when you inhale during this time, it would be 2 times, as if you are bringing in air twice and then you release the air. This will quiet. This will have a relaxing effect on your nervous system, quieting your mind, okay, enabling you to think clearer and to adjust your emotions favorably. So the first one is panoramic view. You go out there, walk, cycle. The second one is exhale, emphasize breathing. Okay, inhale and you exhale longer. You can actually practice this one for 4 counts. Inhale, 8 counts, exhale, and then do it again, and it will quiet down. At least you do it at least 5 times and longer if you are still not quiet down. So exhale, emphasize breathing. Yoga practitioners actually also do this one in during the exercise. The exhale, emphasize breathing allows our nervous system to reset to base level. Many meditation and yogic practice will focus on making exhale twice as long as inhale. Okay, so that's the second one. The third one is, of course, move. I have been telling you about exercise, movement. Okay, movement for fitness, movement to lose weight, or movement for sports competition, or for improvement of skills. Just move, because while you're moving, our sense of seeing, vestibular sense, or balance, we use our proprioception sense to help us be aware of where we are in relation to other things. And when we move our eyes naturally, moving side to side to help us maintain our balance. The lateral movement of our eyes has been shown to quiet the amygdala so that our fear programming doesn't take over. So we move around, exercise, we move. Some of us would like to go gardening. Some of us would just like even washing the clothes, because some are taking it as therapeutic. That the rule of thumb is just move, get away from your seat, or even when you're sitting, you can even still move when you're sitting. There are exercises that's just confine you in your seat, and you can still do the exercise. That's called chair exercises. There are a lot of videos of that in the internet. If you don't like to go out from your seat, but you want to move, you can actually move in your seat. Okay, so number 4. Number 4 is sunlight. Okay. Feeling the sun in your skin is a great way to increase BDNF. Spending time in the sunshine also improve mood levels, increasing the vitamin D production, and surprisingly enough, it can also decrease the risk of skin cancer. Just be sure you are wearing your sunscreen. It's suggested that we receive about 15 minutes of direct sunlight each day if you are light-skinned, at least 20 minutes if you are dark-skinned. So spend some time with the sunlight every day. At best, you take it before 8 o'clock in the morning, so that you will have energy. No, it will increase also the production of BDNF. And Dr. Andrew Hoberman actually says that when you are having the sunlight, it will actually release certain amounts of cortisol that will keep you awake in a day. You are alert but not anxious, because you are allowing your body to release the cortisol in a level that is beneficial to you, because cortisol sometimes is beneficial for you, especially during emergency. But with sunlight, it will help you release this cortisol at the early in the morning, and that cortisol will help you fuel your day. It will keep you alert but not anxious. There's different. There's a very thin line between the two. You are alert. Sometimes you are alert because you're anxious, But with this cortisol level in your bloodstream, by getting the sunlight, you're actually alert, but you're not anxious. Okay, everybody wants to be alert because there are challenges during the day. We want, especially with students and workers, we want to be alert. We want to be smart. We want to decide better. We want to take actions better. So take sunlight. And number 5, of course, is sleep. Okay, quality sleep. When you enter into a deeper stage of sleep, you release BDNF. So there should be no compromise of sleeping. There's no excuse of sleeping. Okay? At best, you sleep between 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. No making up of sleep. Don't tell yourself, I'll just make up for my sleep tomorrow. Do not do that to yourself because there's no making up of sleep. So take a good night's sleep for you to have, naturally release the BDNF. Remember the BDNF that we talked about earlier. So there are five, no? There are five things that I am going to share with you. These are all, as I've told you, free of charge. You don't have to buy anything. This is ready for grab. Okay. So these are all the things that will help you guard your mental health, your mental state. So one, panoramic view. Exhale, emphasize breathing. Exercise to balance the neurotransmitters in your brain. Exercise for the BDNF to unleash itself in the junction, in the synapse, near the synapse, so that they can help neurotransmitters or the nerve cells to talk to each other. Sunlight for better absorption of or production of vitamin D, which is beneficial to your health. For the release of right amount of cortisol for you to be alert but not anxious. And of course, quality sleep. Are you taking all this? Who among you are doing this? All right. Oh, thank you, Nelly. That's right. You're taking sunlight. Okay, please do that. We are going to promote this to our young. No? Our young today needs to have a role model. So I think all of the teachers or even you among you who are listening now can take these actions and help each other guard our mental state. Okay, moving on. Andrew Huberman also states that there are two ways. There are actually two ways, important distinctive rules for us to regulate our mental state. There's one, the outside in rule. It's where we want something outside to pacify us. Now, when we were a baby, we cry, and then our mother will give us milk and we pacify ourselves. It's outside, from the outside. Now that's survival. But when we grow older, we are not anymore anxious about the danger outside. We're actually anxious of our ego. Our lifestyle often leads us to stress that does not immediately threatens our safety, but our ego. Now, the inside rule, he says that this inside rule does otherwise. You are focused on what is inside you. No, what is inside you, the actions you take. If you are anxious, you go outside, you look far away, and then you return calm. When you're anxious, you exercise, and when you come back, you are calmer. When you're anxious, you breathe in, you emphasize, exhale, emphasize breathing, and you calm down. And then you go outside, taking sunlight, then you are alert but not anxious. And of course, you go to sleep, deep sleep, and of course, sleep is will give you all the benefit that you need. You feel relaxed when you wake up in the morning, and of course, it will give you BDNF, the benefits of BDNF. And as we forge our lives, as we forge through life, as we think of things that are good for us, good for our family and the world, using the inside-out rule is the most powerful lever to keep our mental state healthy. In this way, we make better and adaptive decisions in life. So, again, what are these 5 things? Go to panoramic vision, encourage movements, optic nerve, optic flow, forward ambulation, use exhale, emphasize breathing, exercise, get some sunlight, and quality sleep. These are all ready to use items that you can use for you to be able to regulate your mental state. And of course, you may have your family members, you may have your young kids with you, you may have a young person with you. You can encourage these things with them because these are all free, ready for grab, ready to use. It's just that we just program ourselves to do these actions, make it a habit, because these are still to be made as a habit. This cannot just happen once, twice, but this has to be a habit that our young people will adapt, so that wherever they go in the world, they can protect themselves because they are better, they're calmer, they can think better. Whatever they want in their lives, they can put it in their lives in a better disposition because they know the technique of how to think better, decide better, and make adaptive decisions. Hence, they will be productive. They will discover that they will unleash their potentials and populate this world with citizens that are calmer, better, has better dispositions, and are, of course, are healthy. So that's it from me, guys. Thank you so much for engaging with me. It's a pleasure to share with you what I know, and it would be an honor to be part of this program. These are all my references. Good afternoon, and thank you so much.
Okay, Professor, thank you for yeah, interesting presentation. Yeah, it's very inspiring us. Yeah, especially for the young people. Okay, and we will continue for the next presentation. So welcome Professor Natiara Muhammad Hasim for the second presentation, and with the title is Creating an Inclusive Ecosystem in Disability Management. And the times is yours, Professor Natiara. Sorry, Professor, I think you're still on mute. Okay, thank you.
Okay, sorry. Hello, everybody can hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Clear.
Okay. So Assalamualaikum and a very good evening. I would like to thank the ITS for inviting me for these sessions, and I'm very humbled for this opportunity. And I would like to actually shared a project that initiated by our Faculty of Medicine with the collaboration with Faculty of Medical Engineering in our university in initiating a prescription of assistive adaptive device. So this project is still in the earlier phase and still a lot of things to cover. So, but I would like to share it if it will entice the other part of the world on how we entice the community in participating of such project. So as introduction, I'm Dr. Natiara binti Muhammad Hashim. As a background, I'm a rehabilitation physician. So a little bit about rehab medicine. Rehab medicine is a branch of medicine that's dealing with patients and treating patients with disability resulting from disabling diseases such as stroke, spinal cord injury, traumatic brain injury, amputations, and other neurological diseases, just to name a few. So our rehabilitation medicine's intervention is very much multidisciplinary. We diagnose, we prognosticate, and we instill treatment in a multidisciplinary fashion in order to restore function and to limit disability. So as we know, disability is very diverse. It's differ from individual to individual, and according to International Classification of Functional, there is a biopsychosocial factors that actually influence this disability. Even if one individual shares the same characteristic of impairment, they will have different goals and different needs that is influenced by their background diseases, they will influenced by their social participation, and they might differ in their personal other personal contexts. So one of the intervention to actually manage disability is by prescribing assistive adaptive device, or by short we name is AAD. AAD is a device or a system project or an equipment that we can attain from commercial off-the-shelf prescriptions, or it can be a customizations of a product with its function is actually to restore as much as the functional capacity which the patient would have some difficulty in performing certain type of activities. So actually, assistive adaptive device will be ranging from low tech to moderate tech, even high tech. That will be depending on the cost, the experts, and of course the advancement of technology. So WHO actually has declared that AED is a human right. Globally, there's 1 billion people need one or more assistive products. However, the accessibility of AED is limited to only 5 to 15% in middle and low income country. So hence, WHO already coordinates a global cooperation of assistive technology, by short name as GATE, as a step or an effort to realize the Sustainable Development Goals via the Convention on the Right of Person with Disability, and is implemented in the resolution of WHO 7.1.8 on improving the accessibility of assistive technology. So this paper actually tried to depict how assistive adaptive device can form a bridging from a marginalized community to achieve a sustainable developmental goals. So SDG has give an emphasis on the importance of an inclusive society, and should make a deliberate efforts in actually to reach the marginalized group. In our context, of course, the PWD. So basically, assistive adaptive device, how it can help the PWD to be active, participate in the community, and to be productive in the society. And actually, the assistive device does not only bridge only to SDG 3, but all 17 SDG. And of course, this paper also described how assistive device can be a mediator and moderator at the same time in achieving the SDG. As we can see here, this is actually an example how they depict how assistive device can be a mediator. Such as a diagram A, we can see if patient have a diabetes with the interventions of assistive adaptive device prescription, they will avoid or prevent them from developing complications because of diabetes. And as diagram B, we can see how assistive device can be a moderator, means that it enhances the sounding of disaster alarm, which actually can increase the chance of survival in the situation of disaster. So in realizing this goal, in realizing this global initiative, the Global Cooperation of Assistive Technology, GATE, WHO actually has come up with the 5 important components to be in a framework in order to make it workable. So these 5 component, namely is people, means that whatever AED that we give to patient, it should be customized and it should be user centric, and the service should be physically accessible and culturally appropriate. Number 2, they must in place a policy in order to make the accessible to AED is workable. So this is actually to drive the resources and to gain the support from the community in order to make this program sustainable. And WHO also has actually listed the 50 priority products that should be prioritized in order actually to fulfill the needs of the people with disability that requiring AAD. However, this actually is very important, and more attention have to be given to the product development, production, service, shaping, procurement, and reimbursement policies. And of course, they also talk about provision. Provision is the way, the framework, how you want to integrate the workable framework into the healthcare system. And they propose that it should be centralized and it should be connected to the healthcare infrastructure, so it can reach the marginalized or the needy community. And of course, out of these 5, the most important thing is the personnel who actually involved in the prescribing AAD. So it should the person who actually involved in the developing AAD should be trained on assessment and prescription. They should also be trained into fitting, user training, follow-up, maintenance, and the repairs of this AAD. So what is the Malaysia's situations on PW statistic? Department of Social Welfare in 2017 has recorded about 553,000 persons living with disability in Malaysia, and out of this number, 35.2% recorded the highest number of physical impairment. So realizing this, there's a gap in our clinical prescription of AAD. So what is the gap? The gap is the availability of the AAD is only limited and only address certain function. This is because there's a lack of ideas, lack of limited skills, lack of material, outdated designs, and production method. This also this is also caused by the lack of structured multidisciplinary or transdisciplinary framework, which we only work within our medical fraternity. We don't really there is no existing transdisciplinary framework to actually recruit the technical expertise from other fields, actually to sit together to develop the usable AAD. So there is a few factors that contribute to the successful of AAD prescription. I will divide it into 4. Number 1 is usually it starts with the individuals, I mean the PWDs. We have to identify the correct candidate to be restored, and we have to identify what is the disability in this patient, what is her or his needs, and what his specific goals that he would like to attain, what the functional loss that he would like to regain back in order for him to be back in the community, or in order for them to be functional. So the goals must be set. It must be specific, it must be measurable, it should be attainable, it should be relevant, it should be time bound. And when we prescribe patients with AAD, patient must be trained to be adapt and adopt to what we have developed. Hence, the patient must have a motivation and must have certain capacity in order for them to adopt towards the new AAD that we're going to develop. They must have cognitive, physical, they must display a readiness and should have an stable emotional level. That's number 1. Number 2, the most important component, of course, the expertise. We cannot work alone. It should be a transdisciplinary. We should identify in the community or in the expert who actually can contribute towards the AAD prescription. So we have to have a team that actually work together and discuss regarding the characteristic of the patients and what the patients want. And there must be a crossover of knowledge and understand in depth of what the individuals needs. And of course, resources plays very important role, and think that is one the limiting factor in our project as well. But however, the most complicated AAD we want to develop, we need more financial, we need more technological advancement. However, I will emphasize that monetary support is not all we need. We need the skills, we need the ideas, and who in the community who readily wants to contribute towards this initiative. That is very important. Sometimes everything cannot be solved with money, so you just have to see in the community what what sort of in-kind contribution that they can give. And at the end of the day, of course, the external support is very important. It should become from the family, the employer, the community, in support of the individual, of the PWD's patient to conform towards to adapt towards the AAD, the new AAD. And of course, there must be a bigger role contributed by the industry and the academic institution in order to have that knowledge skills that in contributing in the development of AAD. Hence, realizing that we are proposing this transdisciplinary framework that is a very patient-centric, that we call it co-creation concept. We recruit we recruit our experts from the medical engineering and from the medical to sit together and then brainstorm, understand and how we would like to help these patients with disability. And patient has their say, they have the power to actually to make their own decision what they want, the goal set by them, but most importantly, the goal must be realistic, not only to what the patients want, but what we can offer towards patient. Sometimes it's very unrealistic if patient wants something, but we cannot really develop that. So there must be some mechanism that we have to talk in tandem, so to have that understanding, not only within the experts and with the patients. And for this framework, we actually adopt 3D printing technology, which we think it's quite affordable, it's very amiable, it's conformable towards what we want to develop. It's actually quite it requires skills. It requires skills. It doesn't really need a lot of funding, but it's very amiable technology that can be trained towards it can be trained to the experts, number one, and also of course it can be a knowledge transfer towards the community. And hopefully by this framework we can expand and to encourage the community involvement in what we are doing. So of course this methodology process, sorry, I just have to mute it for a while. So this framework actually consists of several processes. Okay, it always involves 5 steps of processes. That's number one, it should be multidisciplinary assessment. We sit together with our expert, the medical and the we call it technical expert, have to sit together to discuss about what patients want, and we set the goal as what the patients needs. Okay, and the goal should be, again, it should be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. So during the multidisciplinary assessment, we take we measure what the anatomical shape of the patient, we assess their impairments, we assess their disability, we assess what other biomechanical features that patients still have preserved, or what biomechanical feature they have lost, so we can replace that. So it is very important, the crucial part to have this multidisciplinary assessment, and hence that it leads to the goal setting, and then of course it's later progress into product development, which we can see we actually utilize 3D printing technology. The designing of the product, we will utilize some software, and we have a lot more various material selection that we can work on depending on the 3D printer that we have. So of course, then the next step, of course, because most of our AAD is applying on patient, so it's very important to us to assess the safety. Hence, that is the product testing and fitting process, which we don and doff, and we see what's the functional of the AD. Does it really provide the intended function? Does it save? Does it cause actually abrasion or pressure marks on patients? And of course, at the end of the day, we would like to have we have to have a product functionality assessment. Product function assessment using a validated outcome measures or video, just to see how much our developed AAD actually serve the intended function. So as you can see in the video, so as you can see in this video, actually, So if you can see in the video, this is actually a traditional or conventional method on how we want to take shape of patients. As you can see, it's a very messy process. It consumes a lot of consumable and actually time consuming. So we want to upgrade this process by having a 3D scanner. This is a portable 3D scanner that actually we utilize. If you can see the picture on your left, that is the 3D scanner that we want to capture the anatomical shape of the patients, and this is the software how the data is processed. And actually this is actually to depict on how we design our AAD prosthesis or orthosis using some software. So you can see how amiable this process is compared to the conventional one, which we cannot do. We unable to do like this. So this is the CAD drawing. This actually try to depict how we can design and we can integrate the biomechanical features towards our developed AAD, which cannot be done prior to this. We cannot be done by traditional. Of course, it needs a lot of effort. However, it's very humble and very conformable, and it gives us the chance to actually explore on what mechanical features that we can integrate into our AAD. And this is actually just analysis that we done to of our products on how we want to ensure that it's functioning and it's safe, and we want to see is there any how much the durability of our AAD and the force that it requires, and is it safe of our developed AAD. So it's more of technical part. So this is the 3D printer that we actually use in our project. And of course, again, if the developed product will undergo into fitting and testing processes. As you can see here, this is actually the process of testing on patients, our developed products. Sorry. So, okay. So again, this is the product functional assessment. We assess patient if they can use the AED as per intended. So as a summary, this is the whole process of that of our intervention. So just actually to depict one of our product, of course, this is still a prototype phase. Actually, this is an adjustable headrest that we use in patient with very poor head control. So this is very portable that actually can be attached to any seating system, not only on wheelchair. Okay, and of course, this is what we call ankle foot orthosis, still in prosthetic phase that actually we apply on patients with a stiff ankle joint. So this actually help in their stretching processes. So this actually is a portable wheelchair tablet holder that we prescribe in a patient with motor neuron disease who they have weakness of the bilateral upper limb, which this patient needs is actually he wants to watch movie on a handphone, hence, but because he cannot manipulate the handphone, he cannot hold, so hence he suggests if that is there anything that can hold his handphone, so hence this AAD. So this actually is another example. This patient actually have to sit for an exam. He has weakness over his thumb and his index finger that he cannot hold pens. So he came to us and he asked if there anything that actually can help him to write. And yes, we developed this finger orthosis with, if you can see there's a pen over here that attached towards the finger orthosis to help him to write. And he sits for exam using this orthosis. So this is again is an example of a patient with spinal cord injury, which he has weakness over the bilateral arm, so he's got difficulty in picking up objects. So what we do is we develop this TGO, tenodesis gripping enhancer orthosis, for him to pick up objects. So this is another example, what we call is the gripper and the forward rollator. So this patient suffered for stroke. So she has difficulty in actually writing. She has difficulty in performing the vertical movement of the hand. Hence, what we do is we provide him with the large handle gripper with forearm rollator. So he can move his forearm easily. So this is another example of AAD. So again, this patient with spinal cord injury, she has bilateral arm weakness. He has a bilateral arm weakness. He has difficulty in feeding. As you can see how he holds his spoon. So it's difficult for him to manipulate the plate because of the weakness of the hand. So what we intend to do is actually we create this plate-based aid device. It can rotate to help him to rotate the plate. Just watch the video and see how this device can help him. So as you can see, upon scooping the I think that's a black pepper. It's a black pepper. So it was pushed to one side of the plate. So it's difficult for him to scoop. Then he just turn around. So it's only an easy assistive device, but it actually improve a lot of patients' function. It's just a simple, of course it's not simple. It looks simple, but actually it involves a lot of mechanical features in this AAD. So this is the forearm rollator that I talk about. So this is one of the cosmetic prosthetic limb that we developed for this gentleman. So this gentleman is very close to my heart. He had a bilateral transfemoral amputation. he has a background disease of ischemic heart disease. So hence with his disability, we cannot provide him with functional prosthetic limb. Number one, because it just cause detrimental side effect towards his heart. Her heart functions is not very really good, that we cannot prescribe a dynamic prosthesis, a functional prosthesis. However, this condition actually make him to be very he has inferiority complex. He has low self-esteem, that he just doesn't want to go out to the community and to meet his friend just because of his body image. So he was asking, if he cannot have a dynamic prosthetic limb, can he have anything that actually can replace the limb to look better? So what we do is we just do a cosmetic prosthetic limb. So I just remembered the day when he received that. He just smiled. He just cannot stop smiling. And it actually improve his self-esteem a lot. Then he starts going out, even you see the leg, they say it actually cannot allow him to walk, but however, it's actually improve his body image and actually allow him to go back to the community. So you see how the impact of this type of intervention in patient's life. We might think it's very trivial, but to patient it means a lot. So I think that is the important point to take. So this is another patient. This is one of our community project. This patient actually born with congenital diseases, what we call this tetraphocomelia. She is born without limbs. So she has to attend school. She wants to write. Actually, previously she can write without any using prosthesis, but however, she developed scoliosis, the bending of the spine, which she has to be operated and to be implanted with metal rod. So since that operation, she lost her flexibility and she lost her ability to write. So actually she was seen by our team, and we said maybe we can help him to actually develop some orthosis to assist her to write. Actually, we are not really positive about this project. We thought that it's very difficult to achieve. However, we did achieve. We just try and see how actually this AED can help, and we can see that actually this orthosis can help her to write and draw. And just notice the orthosis with the pen, and then this is the mountable adjustable table. So she can control how inclined the paper she wants to. So she can write her name. So this changed a lot. She can attend school and yes, continue her education. So this is another example. We don't have the chance actually to try it out. This is actually below elbow 3D printed hand prosthesis. It has some mechanical features that we integrated in this hand prosthesis. Because of COVID-19, we haven't really seen the patient as yet. Hopefully by end of this month, we can hand over this and see how actually it helps the patient. And then of course, the other pictures on your right is actually another exoskeletal tendon enhancer orthosis, which we give in a patient with spinal cord injury with thickness of the upper limb to actually enhance their grips in picking up objects. Okay, so we move on. So so it's more of like our previous intervention is more of low to moderate tech technology. So we move on. If we can see, we can integrate some robotics. So this is our still a prototype phase, but actually we want to we want to integrate some robotic features in our AED. So actually this is not really AED, but is a robotic exoskeleton that we use to train patients with stroke to train their movement. So because I know in the market there's a lot of robotics that you can buy from the market, but however it really costs a lot of money. Sometimes, in a developing country, of course fund is always a problem. Hence we thought that maybe is there any way that we can develop it by ourselves with a lesser cost of money, but delivering maybe not the same quality, but actually delivering something towards patients recovery. And of course, this is another, I think would say a moderate technology. We integrate with IoT now. Actually, it's a pump joystick. So these patients, he has a motor neuron disease, which he has weakness of the fingers and limbs, which he cannot really manipulate his or her handphone. So hence, we create this pump joystick with integrate with IoT, so he can manipulate his handphone. So that's the examples of the product that we have developed in helping the PWDs. And of course, we are not only limited towards what we develop, but we also organize some awareness and promotion activities. So we did some awareness talk among the people with disability, just to actually promote this kind of initiative. So whoever needs can come to us, and we try to develop. And of course, we do a promotional talk within the academics. If we can entice them, if we can attract their interest in contributing towards this initiative. And of course, we also organize some promotion awareness talk within the technologies in the community, in the industry and the community, if to entice also their interest in joining us in terms of this initiative. We also do some knowledge transfer committee projects that this is before COVID-19. So it's before COVID-19. So what we do is we want to impart knowledge towards the school goers. So this is one of the activities that we do in our facilities, just to actually educate the young ones what is the use of 3D printing and how it can use into helping people. And of course, we also organize an advanced training workshop to train the secondary school on how the principle of designing and the usage of 3D printing. And of course, it's our community project that we help to develop AAD for the patients with disability. So achievement, I think among the achievement, I think this is one of the successful one, which I think it's the meaningful one, means the talent development. I think whatever we do, we must impart the knowledge. So we impart knowledge towards the graduates. So this is actually my picture, our team picture with the graduates, which we successfully train them how to use 3D printing, how we want to assess patient, what type of design that should be integrated in developing AAD. So we have some graduates that we already train, and we also have our technician with a little bit background of 3D printing, but we train him to increase his knowledge in terms of designing. So this is we was featured in our local newspaper in March 2020 for our project. Then we also won a few competitions in innovations and in a few innovation exhibition competition. So we do have some publications, and we do have some intellectual property among our developed AAD. And of course, there's always a lot of challenges and limitations. It's not always a bed of roses. Actually, it's more thorns it's more thorns than roses, if you ask me. And of course, these four, I would like to depict these four limitations that we are currently facing. But however, we just have to have the strategies to overcome of these limitations. Of course, it's always funding. But however, but like I said, it's not always monetary. It can be always in kind. The funding should be in expert or in skills. There must be a partnership from the academics towards the community, from the industry to the community, from the industry to the academics, to have that transfer of knowledge, so more people can benefit from this kind of project. And of course, the human resource is always, we need an expert that is very skillful in designing, and that is another limitation. But of course, we have the strategy is we just have to find in the community who actually can develop. So means that whatever project we are implementing should actually we should actually attract the community to be part of us, so we can actually overcome this limitation. And of course, the training, again, we just have to have the partnership between the academics, the institutions, the academics, and the industry to come and to teach us on how we want to develop this AD. And again, the support from the NGO, the governmental body is also important. And of course, the most important thing is the community. So I just want to to actually show this is very small lab that is, but I'm so proud of this lab. Even it's small, it's only 2 3D printer, but it's actually situated in the hospital compound. It's not engineering. It's in our hospital, in our faculty of medicine, that we set up this lab to develop our AAD. So the advantages of our project, of course, it's adopt co-creation concept. Is always a patient-centric. We utilize feasible, adaptive, and accessible technology, namely 3D printing. We increase the digital data storage for future development. So for whatever design we have made, it can be modified. It can be improvised in the future, and then customizations of the product is easier to be done with the 3D printing technology. And of course, it has a faster publication time and amiable design if adjustment is required. This also limits and reduce the excessive usage of plastic, because most of the plastic we use is PLA and ABS, and it's recyclable. It can be recycled. So strategies and future plan, of course, whatever project we want to engage must have a sustainable strategy. It should be sustainable, and there must be strategies in place to ensure the sustainability. So of course, that's why we want to empower an inclusive ecosystem. What we want is actually we want to empower the community. We want to empower the community to help the community itself. So basically, a project should involve all level of community, and whatever project should benefit every community level. Means that a project should not be exclusive. Means it's not only should be exclusive for the PWD, but it should be inclusive in all member of the community. Means it can benefit, it can address every patient, every community needs and interest. So as a funder, of course, you want whatever investment that you want it to be very impactful, and you want to diversify your corporate social responsibility. You want to be impactful and benefit all level of community. And of course, as academics, you want to contribute towards the body of knowledge. You want to have more R&Ds. You want to have new knowledge and skills on how you want to do the AAD, and this actually can be achieved by our projects. And of course, the graduates, now is the community COVID-19 pandemic. There is scarce opportunity of work, so there must be a strategy how you want to increase the graduates marketability. So one of the project is actually we provide skills. We upgrade their knowledge, we upgrade their skills, and how they want to apply their knowledge towards the community needs. I think this is a great avenue to actually increase their CV for the graduates, in order for them to attain employability in the market. So of course, at the end of the day, the focus of this project, of course, to help the PWD, to help to improve their function and increase the overall well-being. But as a whole, this project is a community, hopefully can help the community in a larger scale. And we have to be, again, it should be inclusive. It should not be exclusive. Means that it should not be only exclusive to PWD. It should be inclusive, and the benefit should be gained by all level of community level. Again, this is another diagram just to depict how assistive device actually can impact at all level of community level. And of course, if you want to talk about sustainable development goal, I believe it's not only addressing the SDG of 3, good health and well-being, but also addressing SDG 9, 10, and 17. That is industry and innovation of infrastructure. It's reduce the inequalities, which we restore function for the PWDs to return back to the community. And of course, we encourage the partnership for the goals. So our vision, hopefully it can be a full-fledged community-based rehabilitation. It should be initiated within the community itself. And of course, in the long run, it's our vision if this project can have some monetary return on investment. It's not to uh, make money out of this project, but actually just to have a return of ROI. So so this project can be sustainable in the long run. And I would like to acknowledge all my team members for this project, who actually has contributed a lot. And of course, the take-home message, you have to know your societal profile. Every country has different society, have the different characteristic. It's important to know the gaps and the needs of your community. Let it be education, healthcare, or employment, but don't forget, and I think it's very important also to identify the strength of your community, what contribution that they can have, the advantages of your community that can contribute. And it's not only limited to monetary funding, okay? And you have to take advantage of it and just utilize it as much as possible. And of course, to be sustainable, the framework should be involving the community as a whole. And again, be inclusive, not exclusive. Teamwork, there must be a very good teamwork, that we have to work transdisciplinary or even multidisciplinary in order to make an initiative a success. And of course, again, it's not a bed of roses, it's a lot of thorns between the rows, and it is a try and error process. But however, we have to start somewhere, so it can lead us to the goal that we want. I think that's all from me. So I pass over to the moderator.
Okay, thank you, Professor Nashela. Yeah, it's very interesting presentation. Yeah, it's about topic disability management. Yeah. Okay, let's we continue, and the next session for question and answers session. Okay, let me check the first question here from, okay, let me write the question. Okay, from Faikdava. Yeah, Faikdava, are you here? Hello?
Hello, Miss. Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Yeah, maybe maybe you want to ask directly to the first speaker, yeah?
I'm sorry, Miss, but I forgot my question.
Oh, okay, I will help you to give the question for the Professor Perfida. Yeah, this is from Faikdava. Yeah, what's your opinion about the self-diagnosis mental health on the internet? Yeah, the first question, and about people that that's proud about having one or from one side and always post it on social media, and how we can stop it. There are two questions for Professor Profera. Okay.
All right. Those two questions, the answers to those questions can actually be integrated by this one. As what I mentioned earlier, our brain this time are overly stimulated. We have social media on the right, music on the right, and the young people have this notion that I have to be there. But as an educator, me as a physical education teacher, what I can advise for them is just to tame down. No? There should be time to shut off all these stimulations. For example, put off. There is a manage your time in a way that you are not overly stimulated by the social media, especially the cell phone. The cell phone is made to distract everyone. As you see, as you scroll down, figures there are moving, and our eyes, where we land our eyes are actually where our focus is. Now, when something in front of us is moving, we are glued to that. We are glued to that moving. Now, if you are conscious, this is the skill that we have to teach our students, that to regulate themselves, allow some time to pick off, get away with the cell phone, especially before sleeping, at least 30 minutes before sleeping. Now, this is for one person to be. It has a support of the whole family, the discipline of the whole family, that there's certain time for cell phone, there's certain time for this, there's certain time for this. The rule of thumb is just tame down the stimulation of the senses, especially the eyes, because the eyes are two small brains. It's said there are a lot of sensory nerves there, and our eyes is stimulating us so much. So for us to have a break, put off your cell phone, go to somewhere, look 300 meters away from you to relax your optic nerves, calming your amygdala, so that you can think better, you can always decide better, you can choose things better. Your amygdala your emotions is calm. Once this amygdala is stimulated, chances are you go aggressive, erratic, irrational. But with this down, certain level of decision making or favorable decision making can come because you are calmer. Okay, so I guess that's what I can share with you. There has to be time for cell phone to be off, in particularly in the, especially the eyes. Now, give your eyes time to relax. So that's the most basic thing I can share. Am I satisfying you, the one who asked?
Okay, Professor. Thank you for the explanation. That is great question from Faik. Yeah. Hope Faik can get the answer. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. And so we can go to the next question here from for Professor Natiara. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Wait. Yeah, this is from. Okay, that's maybe I will read for Professor. That what's the struggle in every prototype, Professor, and how to avoid misuse of this technology?
Okay. That's a I'm okay. I'm not muting. So thank you for the questions. It is a very good questions. Yes. I would say when we work on a AAD, it's not only one prototype. It's usually involve one or two trials. Sometimes it's required 3 or even 4. That's a limitation. But to us, actually, we learn along the way. It actually just improve our skills, and this actually give us opportunity to advance in our methods. Of course, every AAD is not only enough only one trial. It always involves so many prototypes, sometimes up to 5. But along the way, we do learn. And if I would like to share, there is always a stereotypical characteristic of a patient. If you see spinal cord injury, they will share a certain stereotypical features. Hence, if we work on one patient, we already know how to work for another patient. So that's how we learn along the way. That's number one. And number two, of course, is always try and error. I don't have any strategy in order how to limit the prototype, the amount of prototype we need. It always a try and error along the way. We always have new design, new designer. We have their own design. If you talk in electrical engineer, of course they have their own thoughts. If you talk towards a mechanical, they have their own thoughts. But along the way, we do learn. That's the importance of this transdisciplinary framework when we sit together and we have a knowledge sharing. I hope I answered the questions.
Okay. Oh, thank you for the explanation, Prof. Nutiara. Hope okay, who's it? Dava, yeah? Yeah. Oh, sorry. Like Davara said, that can get the answer, yeah? Okay. Yeah. Let we see for the next question. Yeah, maybe for Prof. Vera. Yeah, maybe we know that many people feel tired or burn out, like something like that. Yeah, there is some treatment, especially for the good mental health. Yeah, to keep their mental states okay. So, what do you think? Which one the most effective step that you explained before for young people?
All right. For young people, we need to encourage movement. We need to encourage movement, movement and sleep, because I believe sleep is sometimes jeopardized.
It's short, yeah, for young people.
Move, just move. Whatever. Just move around. Do not stick yourself to the chair. If you observe hours of sitting down.
Sorry, maybe my signal is not as
good. Human body is made
to
move. We are made to move. If we are not moving, it actually is the it to very well. I've explained earlier, exercise, repetitive relaxation and contraction of muscles actually releases hormones and neurotransmitters that is healthy for your brain. And in this brain of ours are what we use as we move forward, as we conquer challenges, as we see the world in front of us, as we deliberate on matters. This is what we use, our perception. And we are supplementing, we are helping our brain to decide better or to perceive better when we're able to also take care of our body, because our mind and our body has a connection. It has a connection. So for the young, as a PE teacher, I always encourage them to move. Get to movement, move and sleep, and of course nutrition. These are the three pillars of health. Nutrition, get away from sugar, limit the sugar, because sugar is addictive. It's actually killing your BDNF. It's actually, it will cause the BDNF to and then sleep, because that's where you repair, you grow and repair, you release growth hormones during your, of course you move. So these are the three that I'm going to give to the young. And of course, educators like us, we don't have to confine our students to their seat. We have to engage them into movements, juices, biscuits. Most of them have sugar, so we educate them to lessen the sugar, intake, because these are toxic in our body when consumed, when overly consumed. Okay, so those are the three for the young, and of course for all of you. These are the three things that we are to remember: move, sleep well, and of course take in good nutrition. Limit the sugar. Take in complex carbohydrates, not the simple ones. Okay, so that's it for me.
Okay, thank you, Professor, for your information. Give our insightful to less sugar, yeah. For the first thing we need to know. Yeah. Maybe for the next question for Prof. Natiara. Um, in your project or in your program, how the patient or the people can more get the information or access to the rehabilitation?
Oh,
Yeah.
very okay.
Mm.
So that's a very good questions. Another good questions. So yes, accessibility. Okay, I'm a as a background, I am a rehabilitation physician. I work closely with people with disability. To tell you the truth, this actually first initiative in our institution. So basically, what they can do is that's why hence we organize some talk towards the PWD if they have
Okay.
some concern, if they want to have AAD to help them, they can come and see me in my institution now because I treat patients with disability, so they can come to my hospital and see me, and then we going to assess together on what we want to achieve. Of course, to be frank, it's not all disability we can address. It's not all. We have to have a very good assessment, in-depth assessment of that patients, and again we have to set goals, and usually we will talk together and we can see in what order we can help that patient. But no, of course it's impossible to address all, but we try to address as much as possible. That we have to prioritize what they want. That's another thing. So again, to answer the question, accessibility, they always can come me. I work closely with the patients, so hence that's what I get my referral from. So from whole Malaysia, if they wanted to have if the other physician that they have patients, they can refer to me straight away. I hope that answered the questions.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Natiara. Okay, before the closing, maybe Prof. Yara and Prof. Natiara have some close remark, maybe. Prof. Yara, maybe for the first speaker.
Come again.
For the
Come
closing.
again. Yeah, come again, ma'am. Yeah. Well, my heart is full of gratitude for all of you who are coming here to listen to us, Miss Nigeria. This is Nigeria. Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity. And I may have this passion with my students how to be physically active, but I am just confined in my own population. But this time, I think of you. I hope we are published here, maybe somehow help them regulate their mental state so that they may be able to be productive in their lives as they put on good things in their lives. So it is my joy and my hope that our voice here can reach and can even penetrate in their heart, that they will be moved by it and challenge themselves also to develop a habit of movement, a habit of good night's sleep, and a habit of taking in good food. So thank you so much, everyone, for your questions, for your clarifications. Your questions can actually boost some concepts and ideas, and I thank you for that, for your questions. And for the entire, for the committee, thank you so much also.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Okay, maybe we want to go to the Prof. Natiara. Maybe you have some closing remark.
So I would like to thank the committee members for this invitation. Thank you, Dr. Nigusti, for becoming the moderator for this session. And I would like to thank also to the audience for your attention and for your questions. Hopefully, this lecture will entice or instill some interest in your community, and the take home message is just to know what is the strength of your community and just make do or take advantage of what your community have to offer, be it in health, education, or employment. The community always have something to offer. Don't worry. Okay. That's all.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Najara. Yeah, for all, I think that is up for the question and answer session. And finally, we come to the end of the guest lecture on SDGs today. Thank you for special our speaker. They are very, very fruitful and insightful presentation for us. And also, I would say thank you for our participant for your participation in this lecture. And I think enough from me. Yeah, as a moderator. See you next in the next session, maybe. And now I will give back to our MC. Yeah, Mbak Desi. Miss
Okay,
Desi.
thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much for Prof. Porfiria and Tiara for the excellent lecture today. And also thank you to Dr. Ni Gusti Madirai for conducting the amazing session. Please give applause for our speakers and moderator by using the Zoom reaction feature. Okay, furthermore, we would like to share a certificate awarding for our speakers today. The first certificate is presented for Prof. Porfiria. And then this is the certificate presented for Dr. Natiara. Thank you very much. And the last certificate presented for Dr. Nikusti Madirai. Okay, we hope to able to send the scanned version of this certificate is sooner to the future, and we will also send it to your postal address. Now, before we proceed to, before we end the session today, we would like to invite all participants as well as the honorable speaker and moderator to take a group photo. To all participants, please turn on your camera and give your best smile. Okay, I will count from 1 to 3. Okay, 1, 2, 3, smile. Great. And once again, 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, thank you very much, Pervik. Now we have finished the group photo. Then for the participant, please fill the feedback form through the link bit.ly/feedback GLS that you can see also in the Zoom chat room. The deadline for filling the feedback form is 1 hour after we finish the sessions. We want to remind you that the participant who will get the stamp are the participants who come on time, join the event from the end, from the beginning until the end, and also fill the feedback form. We would like to inform you that the next week we will have 2 streams of GLS SDGs. As you can see in the screen, we have Associate Professor Hasliza Rahim for University Malaysia Perlis, and also Associate Professor Izawati from International Islamic University Malaysia. Then for the second stream, we have Dr. Nur Zalina from University Technology Malaysia and Dr. Yo Takeda from Hokkaido University. Mark your date and don't miss it, the wonderful event. Finally, we have reached the end of today's guest lecture series, and we sincerely apologize for any mistake that we made in presenting as Master of Ceremony and Committee. Thank you very much for the honorable speakers, moderator, and all participants for the attention and cooperation. We hope to see you again in other events in the future. Don't forget to follow our social media on Instagram at ITS International Office and keep updated of our programs. Good afternoon and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.